Most people think retirement is something you get to schedule. Like it's a tidy little timeline, work until you're ready, pick a date, plan the party, and walk off into the sunset with a perfectly calm bank account and a perfectly organized calendar. But real life doesn't always do tidy. Sometimes retirement shows up early because of a layoff. Sometimes your company restructures, and sometimes your job becomes so unbearable you realize you cannot do one more year. And sometimes your body taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, we need to talk. And if you're living alone, or you're carrying the full financial load, or you don't have a built-in safety net, this topic matters even more. The reality is we don't always get to choose when we retire, and we need to plan in a way that doesn't make us anxious or pessimistic. This isn't about obsessing over worst-case scenarios. This is about building options, and options are freedom. Hi, I'm Michelle, and on my channel we talk about creating a peaceful, confident life after 50. Especially if you're living alone, traveling solo, or navigating retirement. Here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Stop assuming that you'll get to work until you're ready to retire. I know that sounds blunt, but it's empowering because it's the moment you stop assuming you start preparing. And preparation is calming. Preparation is how you sleep better at night instead of living inside the story that says, I'll work until I'm 65 and then I'll figure it out. I want you to start asking a different set of questions. Not dramatic questions, not doom and gloom questions, just realistic ones. What if I get laid off at 58? What if I develop a health condition at 60? And what if I hit 57 and I'm mentally done? That's not pessimism, that's realism. And realism is powerful because it forces you to build a backup plan before you're in panic mode. If your plan is, I hope nothing unexpected happens, you're going to feel anxious. But if your plan is, I can handle whatever happens, you start to feel peaceful. So what does that even look like in real life? It means you start building income options now, not someday. Because here's what I've seen again and again. The women who feel the most secure aren't always the ones with the biggest salaries. They're the ones with options. Options come from having more than one way to make money, more than one way to use your skills, and more than one identity besides your job title. The phrase income stream can trigger hustle culture exhaustion. I'm not telling you to turn your life into a second job. I'm saying build a few insurance policies that make you less dependent on any single employer or any single paycheck or any single plan. Maybe that looks like starting a YouTube channel, not to become famous, but to document what you already know and to share what you're learning, and building an audience that can support future income. Maybe it's a newsletter, something simple, because you own that connection. Algorithms can change and platforms can change, but an email list is yours. Perhaps it's providing consulting in your area of expertise. And I'd like to emphasize you don't have to be the absolute best in the world. If you've got years of experience in something, there's someone out there who needs your insight. You could offer this as an hourly consultation, a monthly retainer, or even a straightforward pick my brain session. Maybe it's a small digital product, like a guide, a template, or a workbook. Or perhaps it's a part-time service you can offer remotely whenever you need to. These aren't just side hustle projects, they're a safeguard for your future. Because if you get to keep working as long as you want, that's amazing. These become supplement income and creative outlets. They become fun money, travel money, and I don't have to touch my investments money. And if you're forced out early, you already have something generating income and giving you purpose. You're not starting from zero when you're scared. You're continuing something that you already built. And that's the goal. Build the bridge before you need it. Now, the next piece is one that nobody wants to hear, but it's also the one that determines whether you retire on your terms or retirement happens to you: your health. The people who get the most choice about the retirement timeline are usually the ones who stay healthy the longest. Not perfect, not immune to anything, but strong enough, mobile enough, and mentally well enough, and energetic enough to keep working if they want to. I'm saying it because it's empowering. We can't control everything, but we can control a lot more than we think. Exercise isn't optional, not because we're trying to be skinny, because we're trying to be independent. You want to be able to carry your groceries and to feel steady on stairs. You want to protect your strength and your balance, especially if you live alone. And nutrition isn't optional either, not because you need to be good, but because your body after 50 needs higher quality fuel. What you eat affects your inflammation, your energy, your sleep, your moods, and your focus. Absolutely everything. And stress management is definitely not something you can skip. Stress is like a sneaky thief that slowly eats away at your health, leaving you wondering why you're feeling so tired. If you're juggling everything on your own, your home, your money, your choices, stress management isn't a treat, it's a necessity. Something that might seem straightforward but is actually a smart move if you're trying to prepare for an unpredictable future. Try mini retirements. I really like this idea because it's practical. It's not about ditching your job and heading to Italy. Instead, it's about using your paid time off and taking longer vacations, or even just having a stay-at-home week. It's like giving retirement a little taste test. Spend a week what you imagine you'll do when you retire, and then see what happens. Do you actually enjoy it? Do you feel calm and confident? Or do you find yourself getting bored and restless on day 3 and you start reorganizing your spice rack like it's a competitive sport? This is important because many people plan their finances for retirement but don't think about their emotions. And the emotional part is where so many people get caught off guard. When your job ends, whether you wanted it to or not, you're left with this question: who am I without my job? Many retirements help you gather information about yourself while you still have time to adjust your plans. You might discover you need more creative projects. You might realize you want part-time work, or you might decide you need stronger friendships and routines. You might learn that you love slow mornings, but you need something purposeful in the afternoons. Better to find that out while you're still working than after life made the decision for you. And this is where the whole idea of retirement shifts. The old view says retirement is about stopping work. The new view says retirement is about freedom. Freedom to spend your time on what matters to you, on your terms for as long as you want. The old views say you'll be ready when your financial advisor says you've saved enough. The new view says you'll feel ready when you're financially secure and you have a clear vision of what you're retiring to, not just what you're leaving behind. It's not just about having a lot of money that makes retirees happy. It's about having a purpose, a way to use your energy, people to connect with, and something that makes you feel useful and alive. This is especially important if you're living alone because your days are yours to make. Your routines are yours to create, and your life is yours to design. That's wonderful, but it also means you need to be intentional. You need a structure that feels supportive, not limiting. And you need a life with direction, even if you're not surrounded by others. None of us can control whether we'll get to work until we're ready to retire, but we can control whether we're building options right now. We can control whether we're creating extra income streams that make us less fragile financially. We can control whether we're investing in our health so our bodies don't force a decision we weren't ready for. And we can control whether we're practicing life after work. So if work ends earlier than expected, we aren't lost. And that's what creates peace, not certainty, options. Choose one small action that moves you towards options. Maybe it's looking at your skills and asking, what could I consult on? Maybe it's committing to a daily walk, or maybe it's finally using your PTO and planning a week that feels like a mini retirement. Because the point isn't to do everything at once. The point is to stop assuming you'll get to choose and start building a life where you're okay either way. And tell me in the comments, what's one option you want to build this year? Income, health, or purpose? Thank you so much for watching.